Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. Remember to like and subscribe. We're going to reveal something shocking to you today. This is Unreal Tea, from bombshell lies to covert breakups. Before the drama begins, hit the subscribe button. Greetings to all. Imagine if I told you that everything. What you thought you knew about Sister Wives turned out to be false. We've been told for years that every significant decision, every financial decision, and every tragedy was made for the family's benefit. But what if the term family debt was just a fancy way of hiding years of manipulation, favoritism, and callous self-preservation? Furthermore, Robyn, we're discussing more than just who has a larger home or the better backyard. While the other spouses and their children received scraps, hundreds of thousands of dollars were directed in one direction. We're discussing profits from home sales that inexplicably end up in the lap of one family member and debts from a prior marriage that were paid off with money that didn't even originate from her. You've been informed that family debts were settled by Robyn selling her home in Vegas. It sounds good, until you reach the section when those debts were reinterpreted to encompass all that Robyn and Kody did not wish to cover their own expenses. This bookkeeping is not poor. Family funds invariably turn into Robyn's funds as soon as they're deposited into the bank. And just in time for a lavish recommitment ceremony, Robyn's house was entirely furnished, refurbished, and upgraded, while the rest of them managed to keep their lives together with duct tape and diaper pins. And it gets better because Kody did more than just defend Robyn when the other wives eventually raised their voices. He changed his brand, the entire narrative. Christine didn't dump him all of a sudden. She departed from the household. There was no betrayal of Meri. She was retreating. And Janelle was just reading the numbers incorrectly. However, you were unaware of this. Who among the family actually provided the funding for Robyn's new home? The investments, trailers, and private artwork that miraculously never leave her estate. There were occasions captured on camera when Kody's partiality was not just obvious, but also indisputable. We're dismantling it all today. The fake, perverse justifications, the hidden revenue sources, the skewed history, and that one unguarded moment Janelle spat on tape that Kody didn't want you to hear. By the conclusion of this, you'll see why three spouses eventually decided enough was enough and why family debt was never about the family at all. Hold on tight, because you will never be the same when you watch Sister Wives again after learning what was truly going on behind all of those TLC smiles. Okay, let's talk about how the family debt game actually operates, because you can't unknow the pattern once you've noticed it. The official spin from Kody. Family bills were paid with Robyn's house money. Doesn't that sound righteous? Nobody at that big Brown family dinner wanted you to complete this math. Other from this, family affluence was not a factor in that. According to Robyn, residents of Vegas, she brought debt. She owes money from her former marriage, debt and collections, debt while unemployed and no credit whatsoever. She simply stated that she had a credit score in the 500s. However, as she waits for that recommitment ceremony that just so happens to be all about her, she is the one who miraculously receives a fully funded Vegas home, backyard makeovers, and all the awnings done first. Was the money made from the sale of that house in Vegas used to renovate the houses of all the other wives? No. In addition to that, it brought further family funds to Robyn's present state. Thus, the equation is solved. Money from the family plus money from the family plus profit. Robyn's private estate is equal to plus additional family funds. And the obligations from her prior marriage were paid off. She compensated for the care of her 3 children from that marriage. Down payment on her first house in Flagstaff. Janelle and Meri also contributed. Trailers, jewelry, investment art on the family pot, and other sporadic expenses. And they all wind up at Robyn's place by pure happenstance. All of that, however, is somehow classified as family debt. Translation: everything that Kody and Robyn buy turns out to be a wonderful asset that they own. The whole family, however, is responsible for paying off any debt that has been incurred. Furthermore, if you think that the partiality is solely motivated by financial gain, you're mistaken. Kody didn't reveal that Christine had left him when she eventually left. She's leaving the family, he said. Janelle is the same. Misunderstandings resulted by emotional remoteness. And why? Because Kody and Robyn can avoid taking on personal responsibilities if it's about the family. Last but not least is Janelle, who is often calm, stoic, and restrained while letting Kody have his way. Did not wish to be caught on camera. So wonderful. You simply follow your small diesel jeans model and lead a happy life. That sentence represented the release of years of suppressed rage. When Robyn wasn't even present, Janelle literally used diaper pins to hold her bra together in order to endure those years of starvation. She is now witnessing Kody devote all of his skills, attention, span, and remaining loyalty to a single individual. Would it seem poetically fair for Kody to have to sell one of? You want to pay the rent with Robyn's gaudy necklaces? Or, as Ari exceeds the TLC budget, an estate sale to cover the cost of her wedding? Not to mention Robyn's grown-up daughters. Family pot-funded degrees that are somehow disconnected from reality. However, Kody has the gall to assert that the only assets he possesses are those of Robyn. Surprisingly, Robyn does not want to sell Coyote Pass, despite the fact that the down payment was made from the family's joint fund. It's game over, she says no, regardless of the other. Wives could want, and that's only the start, because Robyn never admits anything when she speaks. She will minimize her role, defend and explain her actions, or completely reverse them. There's always a shiny explanation, whether it was why she refused to assist with the kids, or why she wore all-out cosmetics for a camping trip. Meri, Christine, and Janelle, the other wives, have all admitted to moments when they could have performed better. No public admissions of fault. Robyn, it seems like she has survived multiple marriages with flawless coherence, and her connection to Kody's kids. Let's just say it's telling, since those relationships start to get better the moment Robyn leaves the scene. Kody gets excited when discussing his journey to Utah and spending time with his older children. However, Robyn's face speaks for itself. No happiness, no support. No, I'm happy to see you getting back in touch. She even reframed progress as a problem by characterizing Kody's conversation with Aspen as combative. Additionally, if you pay, she has done this before, so pay attention. Let's stop there though, because Robyn isn't even the subject of the most astounding article. It has to do with the real reason Christine left Kody. It wasn't because of the years of abandonment, the failure to pay for Isabel's scoliosis surgery, or the fact that Troy's renal condition nearly killed her without his assistance. Spoiler alert. He wasn't even the one who kissed Robyn during Christine's labor. The real breaking point, that is, when Kody told her no more intimacy would exist. That was the end of more than a decade of bearing the burden of neglect. The truth is revealed here by the Fisherers and the faith. In a society where the women clean up the mess, the image, the power, and the ability to continue having more children come before the health of the children, the wives' mental well-being, or even basic requirements. For decades, religious conditioning kept the cycle going. However, as exposure to the outside world grows, spouses and kids start to go away and thrive. During Isabel's surgery, Christine found out that she could walk on her own. Kody's rule against closeness was just confirmation, and the pattern persisted. Robyn's preference for money, control the narrative to protect the reputations of Robyn and Kody. No accountability when things go wrong. The remainder is pure spin. If you view this entire situation as more of an extended fraud where devotion only flows in one direction rather than as a family, you understand. We haven't even touched on the awkward toasts, the quiet baptisms, or the ways Kody uses favorable circumstances as leverage. Because there is one indisputable reality when you remove the TLC editing and the family's prepared talking points. The family wasn't the focus of Family Debt. No matter how many other people were harmed in the process, the goal was to preserve Kody and Robyn's kingdom. Let's start with the financial trail since the partiality is unavoidable if you track it down. Kody's formal declaration. Family loans were paid for with Robyn's house money. It sounds honorable enough. As you may remember, family money was initially used to buy Robyn's home in Vegas. She entered the marriage with bad credit, debt, and no income. She has acknowledged this herself, citing past collection debts and a credit score of just 600 following the transaction. However, she was given the Vegas house first. The enhancements were given to her first. She was given the the awnings, the backyard, and the perfect time for the heartfelt recommitment ceremony. Additionally, the proceeds from the sale of that house were not used to fix everyone else's homes. It entered Robyn's present mansion, which was supplemented with more family funds. The math is simple. Family funds plus additional funds. Robyn's private estate is equal to family money. In the meantime, family funds were used to settle debts from her first marriage. The family pot was used to support her 3 children from that union. Janelle and Meri gave her a down payment on her first house in Flagstaff. Coincidentally, the family account also has jewelry, trailers, and investment art on display in her house. However, it's all called family debt. The items that Kody and Robyn spend money on are possessions that they keep. However, all of the financial burdens are miraculously transferred to everyone else. The bank account isn't even the source of the deception. It's in the way the narrative is presented. When Christine left, Kody didn't mention she had left him. He made the family the focus. Janelle is the same. Misunderstandings cause her annoyance. If the family is a problem, it's convenient. Kody and Robyn managed to stay above it all, out of reach. But at last, Janelle gave in. You could almost see Kody's spirit leave his body when she made the diesel jeans model comment on tape. For Janelle, who has spent decades pursuing survival with composure, stoicism, and laser-like focus, letting that go means decades of witnessing money leave her pocket as she was actually using diaper pins to secure bras together. And during those years of hunger, Robyn wasn't even there. She was spared the hand-me-downs, the hunger, and the continual changing of every cent. But today, like a queen in a castle, she sits in the biggest home with the newest improvements, protected by Kody. Is it possible that Kody would ask Robyn to sell her necklace to cover her rent, or have a yard sale to cover Ari's wedding costs if she goes over the TLC spending plan? No. But while Robyn's home was unaffected, the children of Christine, Janelle, and Meri suffered from that kind of shortage. When Robyn does speak, it's almost never to take responsibility. Rather, it's for her own protection. Meri, Christine, and Janelle have all acknowledged instances in which they could have done better, whether it was applying a full face of makeup while camping or failing to help out with childcare. Robyn never did. It has been advertised as a seamless transition for her into the family. Additionally, with Kody's, let's just say, kids, that there's a reason why their bond with him improved while she's not around. Do you recall that trip to Utah? When Kody discussed getting back in touch with his older kids, he was beaming. Robyn joy? Not at all. Motivation? Not at all. Simply calling a constructive conversation with Aspen hostile. Christine left because of the jaw-dropping good stuff, not the subtle deception that framed growth as a problem. The neglect wasn't the cause. Isabel's scoliosis surgery was not being covered. It wasn't coping with the renal scare that Troll had. It wasn't even hooking up with Robyn while Christine was in labor. That's when Kody told her that they would never again be intimate. That was the pivotal moment after all those years of sticking around for everything else. It was a final reassurance that he emotionally tuned out, not because Christine is shallow. Herein lies the role of faith. The father's main goal in this system is to have more children. Wives ought to shoulder the financial, physical, and emotional strain, even at the expense of their own children's welfare. While money is used on Kody and Robyn's weddings, recommencement ceremonies, and vacations, medical needs are not satisfied. Programming that is religious feeds the cycle. Wives and kid, however, start to question after observing the outside world, and they perform better when they have more knowledge. On the day of Isabel's surgery, Christine found out she didn't have to support anyone. Kody's no-sex rule simply added the final nail to the coffin. The remainder is only a repeating pattern, discriminating in Robyn's favor financially. Control the narrative to paint someone else as the guilty party. No accountability when everything breaks down. Kody will give Aurora a toast for choosing to stay close to home, adhere to similar values, and disregard the achievements of his other children while still choosing what he and Robyn desire. Without his consent, he will speak the words of his own church into someone else's baptism. Consent, as it must still be about him. Additionally, when those children separate from his perspective, they may distance themselves, remain silent, or worse, give the impression that they have abandoned the family. you can probably see the reality by now. The family was never really at the center of this. No matter how much everyone else had to give up to keep the lights on, it was about building and protecting Kody and Robyn's empire. And the other wives resigned as soon as they realized that, taking part in the game. That's the entire tale. The one that TLC will never fully broadcast. The explanation of why family debt was the ideal pretext until the truth was revealed. Because loyalty only goes one way in the Brown household. Additionally, you're paying in but never cashing out if you're not Robyn. Let's begin with the debt associated with the so-called Vegas mansion. The official narrative. To settle family debts, Robyn sells her house in Vegas. It sounds honorable. It sounds giving. However, remove the curtain and you'll notice a new image. The ones pertaining to family debts were meticulously reformulated. Inexplicably, it came to signify debts that Kody and Robyn decided they no longer wanted looming over their heads rather than the combined obligations and bills of the entire Brown family. We're talking about debts from Robyn's former marriage that have been paid off with a pot of money that everyone put into. Janelle, meanwhile, was working hard to pay for land with every dime she had left over. Christine was using her personal, putting money on the line to support her children. Meri continued to provide financial support even though she and Kody were legally separated. But Robyn's upgrades kept coming in. A newer home, renovations, everything. The worst part is this. The profits from the sale of Robyn's home in Vegas were not distributed fairly among the family members. She always gets her way, regardless of where the money is sent, managed, or prioritized. Then came the relocation to Flagstaff, which was a nightmare to organize but a treasure trove of opportunities for favoritism. As Janelle and Christine, while frantically looking for reasonably priced rentals, Robyn managed to get the mansion. Not just any house, but one with amenities, location, and space that were far superior to those of the others. On television, Kody defended it by claiming that Robyn needed stability for the children. What about the other children? How stable were the wives who had spent decades with him? It was clear that the hierarchy was both economic and emotional. The public reason changed when Christine eventually reached her breaking point and quit. All night, Christine said frankly, "I left Kody." However, Kody reworded it to say, "Christine left the family." That small change reframed her as self-centered, as though her decision was a betrayal of everyone rather than a response to years of neglect and contempt. The rewrite was colder with Meri. Meri distanced herself after years of emotional abandonment. Additionally, even after Janelle kept thorough records, Kody dismissed her money concerns as miscommunications. What TLC never. The little but frequent leaks of family money, artwork, furniture, and investments purchased with the family's future, all of which somehow ended up living solely at Robyn's house, were highlighted. Trailers purchased for joint ventures that never got off the ground. Expenses that are actually personal indulgences but are justified on paper as shared resources. The sickness defense, one of the most deceptive tactics in the playbook, came next. Robyn neatly reminded everyone during a tantrum how much she'd endured, how much she'd sacrificed, the burden she'd been bearing. It was done to arouse pity and elevate her above critique. Here's the unsettling truth, though. The obligation to be equitable is not negated by adversity. Decades of budgetary imbalance are not eliminated. When Janelle, who is usually the most composed, shattered the fourth wall, it was an incredible moment. "If money goes into this family pool, I can't trust that it will ever come back to me," she admitted on camera. That is not a miscommunication. That is a scathing indictment from someone who has lived reality. This is not just about reality TV melodrama. It's about decades of women being told to invest in a system that was against them from the start. And when the surface started crack, the truth came out. Favoritism wasn't just obvious. It was ingrained in the system. Christine left. Janelle retaliated. Meri distanced herself. And Kody doubled. In our next expose, we'll dissect the legal angle, the property documents, the financial reports, and the paper trail confirming this favoritism wasn't emotional. It was contractual. And maybe that's the strongest indication of all. When all the other wives started to question him, they weren't just challenging him. They were threatening the system that kept Robyn in power. The drama in this family is far from over. So leave a comment below, subscribe for the next explosive update, and smash like if you're hashtag Team Wives. Who do you think will win? Stay suspicious, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next scandal. Kiss Mark behind TLC. Today's bombshells were bad, and you haven't seen anything yet.